Jason Swain, touchdown.
It's time for the Swain Event with your host, Jason Swain.
My man.
Real sports talk for the real sports fan.
All you chumps are gonna bow when I whoop him.
It's time for the Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
Give me 2.5 and a Ric Flair.
Swain Event, SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. It is Tuesday, January the 14th. We're already halfway with the month, ladies and gentlemen. 2025, Ben McKee, GoBalls 247 joining me. I'm here in the Low T Central Studio. Plenty to get to. But first, gotta check in on my guy, Ben McKee. What's up, man?
Good morning. I hope you are well. I know you're not doing as well as I am because I am pulling up on Thompson Bowling at the moment, and the beautiful sunrise is casting over Neyland Stadium, and it's always a beautiful view when that happens.
Love it. Yeah, man, love it. Lot going on right now. Tennessee basketball bouncing back after a tough game on the road against Florida, but go on the road again against Texas and gut out a big-time win. It's difficult to win in the SEC. Texas put forth a great effort offensively, one of their best games, but it just wasn't enough because key players stepped up for Tennessee basketball outside of Chaz Lanier. And Rick Barnes continues to show, especially in the last 2 years, how great he's been in evaluating and getting players from the portal because in the last 2 wins, Ben, one at home versus Arkansas, the road win versus Texas, 2 portal players stepped up in a huge way. It was Igor Milicic with 18 rebounds, had a day on the glass versus Arkansas, and then Darlington Dubar versus Texas on the road, hitting some timely threes and then having a put-back dunk that energized the Tennessee fans in the building and the team. So, Ben, it was a good win for Tennessee, man. It's tough to win in the SEC.
It absolutely was. And you're spot on with your analysis, but just to highlight how great Rick Barnes and Tennessee has been in the portal, all 4 of their portal guys have had a major part in their 2 SEC wins with what Chaz Lanier was able to do against Arkansas, season high 29 points. And then even in the loss to Florida, I was extremely impressed with Felix Akpara. I believe I mentioned that on the show last week. I was extremely impressed with Felix. I thought he was able to do a lot of the dirty work against Florida that doesn't maybe show up in the box score. And then he allowed that to propel him into a nice performance against Texas to where it did show up more on the box score. Just a game changer is what Felix was at Texas. I think he only finished with 7 points, but was 3 of 5 from the field, something along those lines. And a team-high 9 rebounds, 3 blocked shots, a couple of assists, a couple of steals. He was a difference maker. And all 4 of Tennessee's portal acquisitions over the offseason have showed up at some point in time in these first 3 SEC games. Now, of course, it's about building consistency. Chaz had a great SEC opener, but has struggled the last 2. So he needs to get back on track, and I have no doubt that he will. Igor is still trying to find his shot from the perimeter while also doing a lot of the dirty work. Felix Akpara seems to be really taking a step, as I just talked about. And Darlington Dubar, if he can add that, and there's still obviously a lot of room for him to grow in addition to what he gave at Texas, I mean, that changes the outlook of this Tennessee basketball team.
So on Sunday we had the locker room, and Darlington Dubar was the guest, and so I got a chance to talk to him. I brought up the fact that he was able to make some big time shots in key moments, and if he could do that at Duke, which he did. I mean, he lit up Duke when he played at Hofstra. I think he was like 8 for 11 from 3, had 20-something points. But it's very hard to play in Cameron Indoor Arena. But being on that stage and being able to perform, you know that he can do it anywhere. And so it was funny because when I brought that up, he was like, "Man, it's funny you brought that up because I was envisioning myself playing against Duke in that Texas game." And he was able to make timely threes that either gave Tennessee the lead or tied it up when Tennessee got a little bit behind Texas because Texas had one of their best offensive performances of the season. So um, he was important for Tennessee, and that's what you're gonna have to rely on, man. Guys stepping up when your normal players um, that you're used to scoring a bunch of points have an off night. So I know one thing for me, Ben, and folks can hit us up on the Swain Event text box, questions, comments, the Beatty Chevrolet text box here on the Swain Event. One thing I want to see, and when you play, and we've seen this in football, when you play, there's a trend of how you play, your style of play, how you win, how you like to win. And teams will scheme you up. They will try to force you to beat them in a different way than you've been winning previously. This is what scouting is about. We saw that in football play out, where Tennessee started playing defenses that wouldn't let them beat them deep. So you had to be really precise with your passes underneath the sticks. You had to be precise with your passes in the intermediate zones. Tennessee was going to play too high and say, you're not going to beat us deep. Well, in basketball, Tennessee has played, 16 games? And you're not going to be able to win every single time because sometimes a defense or the opponent will say, we're going to take this away from you. Beat us doing something else. We're going to take Chaz Lanier out of the game. We're not going to let Chaz beat us, or we're not going to let Zakai distribute like he is used to distributing. We're going to force him to take shots and make shots in the paint. We're not going to come off our man. And so what happens, you have to find a different way to win. You have to counter if you are Tennessee with your adjustments. And so in saying that, teams are starting to slack off Jemai Meshack. They're starting to slack off. It's obvious. They're not afraid of him shooting the ball from the outside. We understand what happened during the summer and how well he shot the ball, and he got a cake, and he was hyped up, and he was celebrated, which he should have been celebrated for his hard work and the results that he was seeing. Now it's time for those results to translate to the game because as we move forward during the schedule, there are going to be teams, Ben, who say, shoot it, Jemai. Shoot it from three. Can you beat us from three? Can you beat us from three? So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing opponents try to do. Will it be Georgia this week? I don't know. But someone is going to say, we're going to take this away from you and make you beat us in a different way. So something to monitor for sure. Lady Vols got a bounce back win versus Arkansas on the road by 30 points after two close losses. Good to see that. Tennessee dropped. Obviously, they're not number one in the country anymore, losing to Florida. And how they lost to Florida, a ton of teams that were behind Tennessee won over the weekend. Iowa State. Auburn goes on the road. Janai Broome gets hurt. They still pull out a win versus South Carolina. So Tennessee drops all the way to 6. Duke jumps up. Cooper Flag had an unbelievable day. 40-plus points for the Blue Devils. So Tennessee dropped from 1 to 6. Does it change anything? Not really. Just still got to go out there and ball. Still got to go out there and do your thing. That doesn't really change that much for me. Being honestly, it might take a little bit of pressure off of this basketball team. I mean, there's already pressure on this team because Rick Barnes is on your butt, but that number one target on your back, you don't have it anymore.
No, and maybe it motivates them a little bit as well. Not that they need the added motivation because of what happened at Florida last week, but even in addition to that blowout loss at Florida, I mean, Tennessee's in a title race. That should be all the motivation that you need, but you don't really see a team drop from 1 to 6. And maybe that's a byproduct of the teams that did jump them. There are a lot of tier 1 teams this year. Florida, Bama, Duke, Iowa State. We obviously knew Auburn was going to jump Tennessee. So I was surprised to see them at 6, but you look at it on paper and it makes sense. So maybe that gives them a little extra motivation, if anything. Not that they really need it.
Yeah, they got blown out. I won't say I was expecting us to go to 6, but I understand the drop. I get it. I mean, you lose by 30. Everybody else won. I get it. I'm not complaining. It is what it is. And
with Jahmai, teams are already sagging off of him. Yeah. They've been sagging off for quite some time. I mean, he's getting the Tony Allen treatment to where they are daring him to shoot the basketball, and I don't blame other teams right now. And Jahmai's got to do 2 things. He's either got to step into those shots with a lot of confidence. He worked too hard in the offseason. I know you and I have talked about it leading into the year, leading into the season. He took more shots than anybody over the offseason. He had the best shooting percentage of anybody over the offseason. And he needs to carry that confidence, the confidence of understanding that he put in the work. And he's talked about that 1,000 times throughout his career. Now it's time to take those words and put them into action. But if he's not going to take those shots, he's a liability when he's not taking those shots. So if you're not willing to step into those shots with confidence, do what you did in the second half. It was nice to see Jahmai make an adjustment and use his physical, athletic frame and get to the rim and get better high percentage shots. So there are adjustments that can be made, and he's certainly going to have to continue to do so because it's impacting the offense negatively at the moment.
On the other side, I need a baseball update from Ben McKee. I need a baseball update. I got some questions. Also, VFL that shined in the NFL playoffs. We'll highlight that. Tennessee football recruiting. All coming up on the other side here on the Swain Event. Swain Event is fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant. Your go-to place for catering. Got the Super Bowl coming up here in a couple of weeks. You want to make sure that you are prepared. DeadEndBBQ.com for your catering needs. Right there on Southern Avenue. Swain Event. Be right back.
Fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
Good morning, Swain Event family. Jennifer Morris here with Keller Williams Realty. Thank goodness it's football time in Tennessee. When the Vols do well, Knoxville does too. There are so many great reasons to fall in love with East Tennessee, and if you're making a move to the area, I'd love to help you find your new home. Just give me a call at 865-694-5904 or check out my website at nextmovesmokymountains.com. That's nextmovesmokymountains.com, and go Vols.
Fellas, there's a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and go to a provider that you can trust. I recommend Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked. At Low T Center, they make it quick and easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed weight gain, loss of muscle mass, you may have low T levels. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. When you are craving some quality barbecue, there's only one place to go. Dead End Barbecue. Dead End Barbecue has been featured on ESPN's Taste of the Town, the first barbecue restaurant on the SEC Network, CBS Sports, Headline News Tailgate Show, Amazon Prime's The Restaurant Comeback, Food Paradise, and named one of the top 100 barbecue restaurants in America. The search is over. Dead End Barbecue is located on 3621 Sutherland Avenue right here in Knoxville. You can even have it delivered right to your door through Chow Now. Visit their website at deadendbbq.com. Dead End Barbecue. The search is over.
Just because you can't call in doesn't mean that you have to sit on the sideline. Impact the show with a text box. It's part of the free Swain Event app.
865-255-03. Swain Event Hotline. Shout out to Byron Young. Last night, man, he was a menace versus the Minnesota Vikings. That game was played in Arizona. We know what's going on there in California with the Wildfires. So that game was moved to Arizona's football home stadium, where the Rams was the home team. And, boy, the Rams had something for the Vikings. Byron Young had 4 total tackles, 3 solos, an assist, and 1.5 sacks. You talk about evaluation. The Rams are knocking it out of the park when it comes to evaluating talent and building a defense with young talent. So it was good to see Byron Young do his thing, Ben, last night in the playoff game. Don't know if you watched it, but Byron Young was a menace.
Yeah, I had Grizzlies Rockets on the main television.
Why?
Because I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan, excuse me, more than I am a Chargers or who they play, the Vikings, Rams and Vikings. Sorry, I'm more of a fan of the Grizzlies than I am those two teams. Okay, I'm not a bandwagon fan that only watches in the playoffs, sir. There was a big game last night. Houston, Memphis, 2-3 in the West, and the Rockets continue to have the Grizzlies number, unfortunately, but that's a different conversation for off air because I know people don't want to listen to that. But very cool to see Byron Young play. When the Rams are on television, I go out of my way to watch the Rams because of Byron Young. He's one of my favorite Josh Heupel balls that I have covered the last couple of years. I love his story. That's well documented. How could you not love his story? But I love who he is as a person and everything he stands for and his work ethic. You know, Swain, my favorite athletes are the ones that kind of get it out of the mud and, have battled through adversity and have the work ethic that separates themselves apart from others. And Byron Young fits that narrative to a T. So always cool to see Byron Young playing. And every time I turn on the television, he's having success too. Yeah. It was cool to see him just causing chaos with what he was able to do up front. Defensively, glad that he was able to pick up a win. I guess there's no balls. Ty Chandler still with the Vikings?
Yeah, he's out there, but he's a Tar Heel.
Yeah, he's a traitor. No, I'm kidding. Ty Chandler's one of the ones that I'm fine with.
He's a good one.
Calling himself a VFL because he graduated from Tennessee and then went off to North Carolina. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones for sure. Let the people know where you are, man. It's a different look for those who are watching the Swain Event TV on whatever platform you're consuming the show video-wise. It looks like it's a different background, finally. What you got there? Looks like that's the arena.
Yeah, over here at Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center. Thankfully, I know which door is unlocked, so I can get in here before practice and media availability. They've got it early this morning because classes don't start for another week. I believe a week from today, the 21st, next Tuesday, classes start. So while they are not in school, the basketball program has been holding their practices in the morning to get it out of the way. And Rod Clark, assistant coach, is speaking this morning. And I forget which player, it might be Felix, is speaking. And then we'll have practice afterwards ahead of a top 25 matchup tomorrow night against Georgia. And Chaz Lanier just walked in and is getting shots up with one of the members of the program, Riley Collins. So Chaz Lanier is, we mentioned in that first segment that he's trying to bust out of the slump he was in last week and certainly putting the work in to do so.
What time does practice start?
11-ish. Whenever film session ends, the emails always say approximately, because you never know how long a Rick Barnes film session is going to go. The other day, they were in film coming off the Florida loss. They were in film for 3 hours. Usually it's an hour and a half to 2. It was like 2:45, almost 3 last Thursday, coming off of that Florida loss before they had to fly out to Texas a day early because of the snow.
So, young ballers, parents of ballers, catch what Ben just said. Practice starts at 11 o'clock. Chaz Nair is in the gym right now putting up shots before another session of film and then practice after that. So,
Yeah, they do film before practice,
Yeah.
as I alluded to. I imagine they'll start film. They usually start right after media availability, and Rod is talking at 9:15. Felix is at 9:25. So I imagine they're doing film at 9:30, 9:40, somewhere in there.
Chaz putting in the work, extra work. That's what's needed to be the type of shooter that he is. Speaking of Georgia, man, Georgia's a good basketball team. Top 10 team when it comes to offensive rebounding. Top 10 team at 3-point defense. So Tennessee's going to have to be really good on the boards. Also, it's a good time to play at home and make some outside shots on your court. But the biggest news in college sports over the last couple of days have been Carson Beck transferring to Miami. Georgia's quarterback got hurt in the SEC championship game. He was supposed to be the number one quarterback off the board this year, heading into the season. Did not play well, lost some money. Because he got hurt, it's best for him to come back. And we caught the breaking news of him getting into the portal. Did not have a contact tag on his name, so no one was able to contact him. The next day, he hits send and commits to Miami. I have no problem with the process. I really don't. But let's start calling a spade here. Let's start channeling our Rick Barnes here, okay? Let's start calling it what it is. Rick Barnes put Chaz Nair on the bench versus Texas because he called up a play, designed a play for Chaz to get a shot after halftime. He did not shoot it. Rick Barnes put him on the bench. After the game, he said, that's what you get paid to do. And if you don't do what you're paid to do, you come out. And that was like the first time a coach has said something like that. But that's what it is. And I think we need to start talking more about what it is, how it is, and stop beating around the bush here. It's not NIL. It's pay for play. That's what it is. We are paying you to make plays. If you don't make plays, you need to go sit down somewhere. Or we need to talk about why we're paying you as much as we're paying you. And you need to be taking less. Like, that's where we are. Now, we can't pay you less during the season, but like everybody that comes in after the season wants more money. Why? Why should we give you more money? Have you done more? Have you made plays? Carson Beck in Miami, they were tampering with each other. It's what it is. It is what it is. It's supposed to be illegal, but I'm not the tampering police. I don't really care. But I saw a report from Matt Zenitz, and excuse me, he was saying, using every word but tampering. And Matt Zenitz is awesome now. He's one of the best in the business. But using every word, every phrase, did not want to say tampering at all. Why not? That's what it is. Let's just say it. Let's just call it what it is. Let's embrace it. No one's getting in trouble. No one's got in trouble from tampering, unless the ones who were really reckless. And it wasn't even that bad anyways. So let's just call it what it is. It is tampering. I'm looking at what Matt Zenitz said. Here we go. I thought I had it. I've been tweeting that much? Hey, I've been tweeting a little bit more than normal. I'll find it here in a second, man.
Would you be excited if you were a Miami fan to land Carson Beck?
Yes.
I think so too.
I hear
But
you.
obviously, I'm getting to a separate point of
I
he
would,
made the right decision in not going to the NFL.
yeah, I would be excited.
And I'm not even talking about financially. Like he's not ready for the NFL.
Not after this year. And I mean, he's hurt. He can't throw until late summer, or excuse me, late spring, summer. So like, no, he needs to go back to college for another year. So Matt Zenitz on the 10th tweeted out, Miami have been working aggressively behind the scenes for weeks to add a portal quarterback, and had explored multiple different options that didn't end up coming together or materializing. Y'all, that says Miami was tampering with quarterbacks at different schools, and they couldn't get one. That's what it says. And the reason why I bring it up is because there were some whispers about Tennessee's quarterback being tampered with. There were
We're
some
not whispers.
Yeah, I know. Miami was tampering with Nico, and allegedly, you gotta say that right. And it's why Mike Matthews got a little afraid and hopped into the portal. But here we go. They're back. They're throwing the ball, working out together. We saw a photo from Nico. They're working out. If I'm a receiver in that room now, I'm like, yo, how can I get out there? How can I go throw a ball with Nico? I'm not letting Mike Matthews be the only one throw balls with Nico. I'm gonna be out there too. But
What receivers?
well, I mean, the ones on the roster, that's on scholarship, the ones getting paid, the ones that
Which
getting paid,
receivers?
huh?
Which receivers on the roster?
Well, the ones that getting paid, the ones that are getting
know,
paid to make plays.
I know. I was making a bad joke about how the receiver room does not have the numbers that I would prefer
Well,
after the mass exodus.
Well, honestly, they had too many numbers last year and too many numbers the year
They did.
before because a lot of dudes wasn't playing. So, if you have less numbers, maybe more, you can play more guys.
They just need to go back to. They need to find 3 a year, maybe a fourth in case somebody gets hurt. Three a year, like they did the first 2 years, and roll with it.
Now, you can't really do that anymore. You still got to recruit.
I know.
Yeah. And so I tweeted Miami had been tampering for weeks to add a portal quarterback and now has fixed it. I mean, that's just what it is. So let's just start changing our language. Let's start embracing what it is. Let's stop beating around the bush. Someone was like, who cares about tampering? Part of the sport, everyone does it. I don't care about tampering. But let's just call it what it is now, and stop beating around the bush. That's my only point about that. But this is good for Tennessee because I would rather go up against Gunnar Stockton than Carson Beck. But Gunnar Stockton got two of the best receivers in the portal this offseason too. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would much rather deal with Gunnar Stockton than Carson Beck. But it does seem like Gunnar Stockton is going to have better weapons than Carson Beck did.
Correct.
So we'll see how that plays out. Maybe Gunnar Stockton, the more experience he gets under his belt, he was one of the best high school quarterbacks when he was coming out, flipped late from South Carolina. Maybe he does eventually tap into that potential and prove us all wrong. But the early returns, at least for me, is that like if I'm an opposing team, like Gunnar Stockton does not scare me whatsoever. The weapons around him do, but just the quarterback itself, that does not worry me. It'll be an interesting offseason because I'm sure Georgia fans will talk themselves into Gunnar Stockton, and we'll see if he proves them right off.
No, does not scare me one bit.
And it's not just the quarterback position either. It's every good football player on every roster in America is being tampered with.
Yes.
Boo Carter. Everybody heard the rumors about Boo Carter. And even if, he wanted to play offense, that was a major factor for him. That doesn't mean that teams were not still tampering with him. Arion Carter, Lane Kiffin was in his DMs like he was in Sidney Thomas's DMs.
Is that who it was?
Well, I don't know. I just wanted to make the Lane joke, which, by the way, shout out to my guy Ryan Shumpert, my good friend of Rocky Top Insider, wrote an awesome oral history that was making the rounds on social media on Sunday. It was 15 years from the day that Lane left, and Ryan did a great job piecing that together, spoke to a lot of different people, media members, players, just a lot of perspectives, and it was really cool. It was also cool to see him be recognized by Lane Kiffin. Would have been even better if Lane would have granted one of the many media requests and gave him 5 minutes of his time to share his perspective. It would have been even better instead of ignoring the request, but that's also a different story for a different day. But if you haven't checked that out, go check that out, because that was really unique. And what makes it so strange, Swain, is just it was kind of before the social media age of all the, like, today it wouldn't seem that foreign, because I think we've seen a couple of those instances happen where a coach leaves unexpectedly and you see the meltdowns on social media. But that was rare, because now you can go to social media and for the most part get information immediately. Back then you couldn't. That was kind of right when Facebook and Twitter and social media companies were coming into things. So I was a freshman in high school, was unaware of it because I wasn't on social media like I am now. My mom didn't. I don't even know that I had Facebook. I don't think I got Facebook till I was a sophomore in high school. That was my freshman year in high school. So I had no way of knowing. But where were you that day? Do you remember where you were? I know I've gone completely on a tangent. I apologize for getting us off track. But
what day? What was I doing? What day?
When Lane left.
I was at the crib.
Were you surprised?
No, I called it. I wasn't doing. I really wasn't doing like for radio, and I really wasn't like tweeting like that. Even though I had social media, Twitter at that time. My wife at the time kind of talked me into it, and I really didn't want to get on there, but I did. But I was new to the game, and the moment that Pete Carroll left, I was like, yeah, this may not be good for Tennessee. And it all happened. So I wasn't surprised, because I kind of called it, but I didn't have anywhere to call it, so it don't really matter. But I didn't freak out because I saw this opportunity to go get better. Like that's always kind of been my like outlook. All right, you fired Coach Former. Well, if you get somebody better, then okay. But if you don't, bad deal. It's like Penn State right now. Penn State lost their defense coordinator, Tom Allen, to Clemson. There's an opening. Tim Banks, where did he come from? He came from Penn State. How did that end between James Franklin and Tim Banks? Why does that matter? Remember, David Johnson came from Memphis. Well, he was with Mike Norvell, coaching wide receivers. He came and he joined Pruitt. Okay? David Johnson left Tennessee and joined Mike Norvell at Florida State. He's still with him today. So, obviously, David left in a good place with Mike Norvell. If Tim Banks left in a good place with James Franklin to pursue being a defense coordinator, which I don't understand why James Franklin would have a problem with him leaving in the first place. Tim Banks has proven that he is a good defense coordinator, one of the best in the country. If I'm James Franklin and all things are good with him and Banks, maybe Tim Banks is a candidate to replace Allen at Penn State.
How do you believe things ended? Do you have any?
I don't know, man.
Idea?
No, I
was he co-DC
at Penn State?
Yes. I
think he had a title, but titles don't mean that you're both calling plays or both have the same duties. It's to be able to pay and take care of your assistants by giving him a different title.
Right. So the reason I bring it up is because, like, if was it Tim out or the DC that just left? Was that who was there with Banks? We'll have to look that up. But
no, that's the former Indiana head coach.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's where that name.
We played against him in the bowl game.
Yes, that's why that name is familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the reason I bring up the title thing, and I can look it up here in a moment, but if he left because he wanted a true opportunity to be the defensive coordinator somewhere and call the plays, then, and it's not this simple, but I would imagine that if you're leaving for the sake of wanting to call plays on your own, then you probably left on good terms, more likely than not.
More likely, I would think. I mean, knowing Tim Banks's personality from the times I've talked to him, super laid back. I mean, it'd be kind of hard to get into it with Tim Banks, in my opinion. And James Franklin is a little bit more fiery. But why would you, as a coach, have an issue with one of your assistants pursuing a better opportunity that you're not willing to give him? Like, so if I had to guess one way or the other, how that relationship, I won't say ended, but was left off once Tim left, I would assume that it's more positive than negative. At least it should be.
He was a co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach from 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I think that Josh Heupel would be easier to work with and for than James Franklin. James Franklin is, you mentioned fiery. That is one way to describe him. He's also a bit quirky and can put his foot in his mouth at times. So I don't. Maybe that's a factor. Maybe it's not. But it's something certainly to keep an eye on. I think anybody, when they saw that news that Penn State's DC was leaving for Clemson, immediately connected those dots.
Yeah, for sure. I know I did. And you know, Tim Banks has had a contract in his desk for weeks, months. Okay, and so I don't think Tim Banks has an issue with Josh Heupel. Tim Banks' issue probably is the fact that he didn't get a contract extension sooner, and that was not Heupel's decision. That was above Heupel. So folks have put two and two together. It's been said publicly on different platforms, but it was above Heupel, and Tim may feel a certain type of way about it.
And go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go.
I was just going to add that I don't blame either side for feeling the way that they do. I don't blame Tim for
Me either.
For kind of being, I don't even know the right word to describe his feelings, but to be a little annoyed maybe. I don't think he's angry or anything, but annoyed that he didn't get an extension sooner. I don't blame him for that, given the situation that he took over. And given that situation, I feel like he was having relative success to the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But for Tennessee, like I also don't blame Tennessee for not extending him going into this past season, because even if he felt good about Tim Banks, it was still a bit of a prove it year to a certain extent. Like the type of money that you are now alluding to being on his desk, in my opinion, although I think Tim was doing a phenomenal job, was he quite at that number just yet prior to the season? I would say no.
Yeah, from like a money standpoint, I understand, you know, when you have a coach with an expiring contract, there's things you want to know. There's things you want to feel good about. There's feelings you want to have before you give a coach another 2, 3, 4-year deal. But 2023, the defense is better than the offense. And there were more questions about maybe some assistants on offense and what they're doing more than assistants on defense, particularly Tim Banks. And the difference is the assistants on offense had more years on their contract. So you probably didn't want to make a move with some of those assistants because of the buyout. And it was just 1 year. Oh, it's a bad year. You know, you lose Hendon, lose all these players. And then this year happened, but you still have some of those offensive coaches who are still on the contract and they're not expiring. If you had some offensive coaches this year that was on an expiring contract, like Mike Eckler, and you know we see he's not on the road like he was in the past, and there's other guys on the road, you know, kind of in his place. I think that looks like that's going to end up the way it's looking. Okay, but I think that's the difference. Like if you had some coaches with expiring contracts, probably a move can be made versus a coach with years in that contract. I know one thing that we've been really good at is not wasting money through, buyouts. So, anyways, Tim Banks, eyes are on him. We'll see what happens. We'll feel better once Penn State makes a hire. It's hard not to link those two when they had a previous history. All right, let me go to the text box. 865-255-03. Ben is at the Food City Center covering basketball. I'm here in the Low T Center studio. Vaughn Birmingham. When is these people above Heupel going to not extend LOB's contract? I don't know. LOB got a raise after the 22 season. LOB's on the contract. So
this upcoming season will be his last, correct?
I was looking for it. I could not find it.
Do they do 2-year deals or 3-year deals?
They normally do 2-year deals, which is why Brian Jean-Marie is not currently here. So you can look for me, but and I get 2-year deals. It protects the school, and I understand why a coach would want a 3-year deal. They want the security. So I get both sides of it. Jennifer Moore says, would you change anything with the state of NIL, aka pay for play and tampering? Do you think it needs an overhaul, or do you think it doesn't matter at this stage? Well, I do think it needs an overhaul, but I don't think that you're going to see it. And the best case scenario is for all schools to operate under the same number, and this court case go through, and each school has about $22 billion, and they can decide how they want to pay the athletes. Colorado just severed ties with their collective, and they're moving towards that model. The sooner that happens, the better. You get these dudes on the contract, make them pay from the university, hold them more accountable. That will be the best bet for this thing to get somewhat better. Chip Payne,
Go ahead. Real quick, Sweno. Per my guy Patrick Brown, fellow Memphis Grizzlies fan, I might add, all of the coaches, but the 3 that are currently on expiring contracts. So everybody but William Martinez, Mike Eckler, and Tim Banks are all on. They're all signed under deal through next season. So
wait,
LRB.
I thought Willie got a contract extension last off season.
Well, then who's the third that I'm blanking on? It's Eckler.
Rodney?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I
should have read Patrick's story that he wrote.
No,
he should shame me for that.
I may be confused here. Obviously, I am. Because I thought there was some talk about Willie Martinez last off season. So
it is Willie. Willie is.
Willie's what?
On an expiring.
Okay.
Banks, Eckler, Willie.
Okay.
Everybody else is under deal through next season.
Okay. Defense.
It is odd that we're talking about contracts on the defensive side of the football when they've carried the program the last 2 years.
Yep. Yeah, so Willie must have got like a 1-year extension last year, and so okay, Hunsucker, Willie got a 1-year extension last year. There it is. Dustin Vol 71. So are the higher ups choosing the staff, or does Josh choose them? Well, Josh chooses them, but Josh doesn't pay them. That money comes from above him, and so Josh wanted Brian Jean-Marie back, but Brian Jean-Marie had a 2-year extension offer, not a 3-year. Wanted a 3-year. Michigan was willing to give him a 3rd year. That's why he's at Michigan. Nella Mafia says, I've decided to hate everything today except for Joy Taylor. Okay. Chip Payne says Georgia's going to throw receiver screens all day long with those new receivers. Oh, yeah, they're going to get the ball to them. For sure. Alex says General Nillen recruited players in the summer from Vandy and had 2 players from Wake Forest after they enrolled. Tampering is a fiction for the soft. Sure, yeah. Chip Payne says Heupel needs to do the same. Tamper on site, but honestly, I don't know if he does or not. It just seems like this coach staff doesn't do that, but I don't know.
Do you really want to know the answer to that question?
No.
Wouldn't it be let me throw this hypothetical out there. If Tennessee was tampering properly, wouldn't the thought that Chip Payne just shared mean that they are doing it correctly? If people don't know whether they are tampering or not, couldn't that mean that they are doing it properly?
Correct. Like I think this is what I think now. I think there are some schools that did not tamper originally, but they realized because everybody else is doing it, they have to do it. And I think everybody is doing it in their own way. And I think the schools that it's obvious are like the big name players and the players that are in the portal for like 5 minutes. So think about the first year, right? 2021, we play Pitt. And then there was some whispers about, oh, USC is about to get Addison. But even with that information out, Addison hit the portal. He waited some days, Ben, before committing to USC. Tried to make it look legit. Tried to make it look like he was going to take visits and he didn't know exactly where he was going. He tried to make it look real. Wound up still going to USC, but they ain't doing that anymore. Like, there are players that hit the portal, next day, LSU committed. Carson Beck, next day, Miami, don't contact. Wait a minute, you just got the portal. Don't you need to talk to some people, take some visits to see where you want to go? Oh, you already know. Why? Because you've already had those visits. And then to think that he hit Miami just because his girlfriend, that's ridiculous. Ain't nobody going to Miami just because your girlfriend. That's just a cherry on top. You've had conversations already with the football people. It's an added bonus that your boo is down there. But you're going for the money. You're going for the bucks. You ain't going just because your girlfriend. That's just the added bonus. That's all. But that's what's going on, and we just need to embrace it and understand that everybody's doing it.
They're just not hiding it anymore.
Yeah, some are hiding it better than others, which, hey, that means I guess you're doing a good job. But at the end of the day, the objective is to get the talent. Those who get the right players are the ones who are really doing a good job in the transfer portal, not the ones who don't get caught tampering. Because who's gotten really slammed and punished for tampering? Nobody has. So just keep it rolling.
The assistant coach at Florida State, but even he was doing too much at the time, if I remember correctly.
He's stupid. Why? I'm sorry. I don't mean to call a coach stupid because I don't want. He's stupid, okay? Why would you mess with Amarius Mims after you saw what Amarius Mims did to Tennessee? Like, what do you think was going to happen? Oh, he's not going to do it to me because he cares about me. No. If he's going to do it to somebody else, he's going to do it to you too. Oh, she won't do that to me because she loves me. No. She will do it to you too. If you saw her do it to somebody else, she is capable of doing it to you too. That's the way that works. All right. Have we been on the show? No, we have not. This is the first day with the news of Mike Keith being the new voice of the Vols. We talked about it Thursday because Turkey Man called in and asked about that move. And we said we didn't know the move, and it would be crazy not to have Mike Keith number one list. And then boom, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock hit, and then it was already out. Weird how that stuff happens. Honestly, I did not know exactly when it was going to go down. I knew it would be sooner than later, and I knew Mike Keith was number one. But I'm not in those meetings, and I didn't know, and I happy that Tennessee fans got who they've always wanted. And Mike Keith said enough is enough. The Tennessee Titans, man. He came to a game in 2002. That place was electric. If there's an opportunity, he would be interested. One open up with Bob Kessler retiring, and boom, here we go. Mike Keith is back. He will cover football and basketball starting this fall. I'm pumped up about it.
Yeah, starting basketball this week, from my understanding. I believe that's what he told Brent Hubbs last week when Hubbs had a couple of different content pieces with Mike explaining his decision that he was going to get to work on basketball the rest of this season. I don't believe Mike has ever called a basketball game, certainly not recently. So that will be a bit new for him. So he wants to spend, as you would expect, a lot of time being around the team this year, learning and things of that nature. So looked like he was at ball calls last night, and I imagine we might see him this morning, which would be awesome. I've never met Mike in person. We've swapped texts a bunch. I think I shared that last Thursday. We have not ever really communicated super often, but he's always been very courteous and just so kind and reaching out to compliment or say, hey, how are you? Or texting me after the birth of my second kid, telling me congratulations, things of that nature. And I'd like to think that I've done the same. So excited to see him in person for the first time, meet him in person for the first time. He's a phenomenal broadcaster. I mean, that goes without being said. It's really cool to think of all the memories that he is going to help create for Tennessee fans. So the way John Ward did, the way Bob Kessler has, the way John Wilkerson has the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I mean, John has obviously been a phenomenal broadcaster for decades now, but with the rise of Tennessee baseball, you've also seen John Wilkerson finally get his overdue flowers that he deserved. And think of all the calls that Wilkerson has had the last 5 years because of what Tennessee baseball has done. And now Mike is going to be calling games where the arrow is pointed upwards next to Tennessee football and Tennessee basketball. He's also going to create a lot of great memories for Tennessee fans. And it's not just that. I know fans have heard it a million times at this point, but he is as great of a broadcaster as he is. He's an even better person, and people gravitate towards him. And it's just not the calls either. He had a Titans podcast that I went out of my way to listen to because I enjoy Mike Keith. I enjoy his content. So I'm not sure what his job is going to look like outside of simply calling games, if he's going to be involved in podcasting and different forms of content and media. But I know he's a great addition for Tennessee fans, and it's going to be a great storyteller that helps create a lot of memories.
Perfectly said. Tennessee got a commitment from some 2026 players, mainly, or more importantly, even though both players are really, really important, offensive tackle from right here in Tennessee. What's that, Gabriel Osinda?
Yes, and he is originally from Canada. Is playing down in Chattanooga right now at the Baylor School, but originally from Canada, 6'7", 330 pounds.
Goodness gracious.
Yes, goodness gracious. 6'7", 330, playing down there in Chattanooga. He picked Tennessee. This hurt me. He picked Tennessee at the Navy All-American Bowl. And that hurt me for two reasons. A, because of the nostalgia of the Army All-American game. It feels weird that it has a different name now. And, of course, everybody knows that I'm an Army guy, not a Navy guy. Although the way that Navy whipped up on Army a couple of weeks ago, I can't say much this offseason. But he picked Tennessee at the Navy All-American Bowl over the weekend. And probably somebody – right now we have him ranked as a 3-star. Haven't really gotten into our updated rankings like we will the next couple of months. A lot of the updates for the class in that particular year is usually updated throughout the end of the winter months and into the spring. And he's somebody that's expected to climb in the rankings because of how big he is and how athletic he is for his size. So a nice pickup for Tennessee. I'd be lying if I said that with every offensive lineman that they sign, I raise my eyebrow at this point and wonder if they're correct in their offensive line evaluation. Everybody outside of David Sanders Jr., they're just going to have to prove that they are taking steps and improving with their offensive line evaluations and their development. But we'll see. I mean, you like the size of a potential tackle like this, and certainly the athleticism at that size.
Yeah, for sure. 865 255 back to the text box. But first, if you are having issues with critters in your basement, your crawl space, on your property, alphawildlife.com is who I use. Used them a couple years ago to remove a raccoon that was creating some havoc. Bats, snakes, possums, squirrels. If you're having issues with any wildlife at your home, Alpha Wildlife is your trusted wildlife removal company. They have several locations to serve you: South Carolina, Tennessee. Give them a call. Go to their website, alphawildlife.com. All right, text box time. Beatty Chevrolet text box. Nelson from Jackson. I can't wait to hear him say Jordan Ross with the sack. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be
Jordan
good.
Jordan Ross, back-to-back Heisman winner on NCAA football to help Tennessee football win 4 straight national championships. Tennessee is under Coach McKee. Tennessee is defensive end and pass rusher U. Listen to this: 4 straight Heisman Trophy, Swain, while winning 4 straight national championships. Heisman Trophy winner James Pierce Jr., Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Herring, and then back-to-back Heisman trophies for Jordan Ross. Those guys are unblockable in the game because of what they were as high school prospects. It's fun to play with those guys on the game.
Yeah, back to reality, Ben. Defensive players won't be winning the Heisman anytime soon. Huntsucker asked me about a player, asked us if we are tampering with a certain player. I'm not going to mention the player's name, and even if I knew, I wouldn't say yes. Come on, bro, Huntsucker. You know me better than that.
Hey, in my Kodak Black voice, I hope so.
I know, right? I hope so.
You need to cut that up and make that a hotkey.
I hope so, man.
I hope so.
I'm trying to tamper with all the good players.
What are your thoughts on? I did want to ask you earlier. We were talking about some coaching changes.
No, I'm not, because it's illegal. All right, go ahead. I had to say that.
You think the Cowboys should go get Dion? Do you think Prime should take the Cowboys job? I do think if there is a coach that Jerry would not tamper with, I think it might be Prime. If there was one, it would be him, I would think.
You don't think Jerry would tamper with Dion? You mean like undermine him by doing weekly press conferences and a weekly segment on the radio?
No,
where
he would
threatened to fire a host who asked him a difficult question. Like, you think Dion's going to change that?
I think he'll continue to do the interviews and the media stuff, but maybe like all the behind the scenes and doing what he wants with the roster.
You mean like not putting together a good roster?
Yes. Yes, that thing. I know Titans fans should be rooting for it because if Prime takes the Cowboys job, the Cowboys are trading everything to the Titans for that number 1 pick for Shador.
It just doesn't sound smart to me.
Which, the trade or Prime?
Well, the Prime comes with Shador, right?
Most likely, if you can pull off that trade.
I'm not trading Dak Prescott for Shador.
No. It would be a phenomenal scenario for the Titans, though. You get Dak and a bunch of draft capital. Because you would be you would be at their mercy.
Dak just tore down.
Or they would be at your mercy.
Dak just tore down his Dallas mansion to build a brand new one. Dak just got paid a whole bunch of money. He just got a new contract. Like,
he sold the Prime. Sold the Prime and Shador, and he can build a brand new one in the Nashville area.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
And the Titans fans would appreciate Dak much more than Cowboys fans would.
It just doesn't make sense to me, man.
It doesn't make sense from a Cowboys standpoint, but the Titans, it'd be a perfect scenario for them because you know that's what would happen if they went after Prime. I think Prime could work in the NFL. I really do because I think he can be a good CEO. He's going to, I assume, hire coordinators, let them do their job and motivate the players, kind of like the Mike Tomlin route. So I think Prime could – look, Mike Tomlin, I didn't say he was flawless. Okay, that's a whole separate conversation. And I am not out on Mike Tomlin in the sense of firing him. He needs to make some tweaks. The biggest issue for the Steelers is they lack talent. They lack playmakers. The defense lacks players. The discipline stuff. He's very hyper-like, honestly, in terms of like the penalties and stuff are maddening, and it's never quite corrected. But other than that, like I don't want to see Mike Tomlin go anywhere. I think Prime could work in Dallas. I do, but I don't know if a lot would come with that for Cowboys. They'd have to give up a lot because of the Shador factor.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm out. Double J says stop with the Dak and the Titans. No way, Jose. Yeah.
Come on now, Double J. Like Dak Prescott is not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. There's no mistake about that. But you have had to deal with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph and Malik Willis and Zach Mettenberger and Marcus Mariota and
the Titans don't deserve Dak Prescott. They don't deserve Dak Prescott.
No, y'all, you take Dak Prescott and you're gonna like Dak Prescott, dadgummit.
D from the 423. How about y'all put me in contact with someone to get my business in on some NIL? I know we can hook some players up. Reach out to Spire, Real D. They're easy to find. Yeah, there's business opportunities for business owners with Spire on the Vol Club. Yeah, reach out to them. Shoot me a DM and I'll point you in the right direction.
Yes, 5 cent Vol. I am out on Russ. No more Russ, please. I appreciate the positive attitude and the way he tried to lead the team, and it worked for a couple of games, but Russ is washed. Russ needs to go on somewhere in terms of being a starter. I am in the camp of I wanted Tomlin to bench Russ a couple of games ago and put Fields in because Russ was in the game because he was supposed to make good decisions, and he kept turning the football over. And he's slow as molasses because he's old and can't run anymore. So put Fields into the game and at least add another dynamic to the offense when the offense can't move the football. So, yes, I am out on Russ. I am in the camp of give Justin Fields a 1-year prove-it deal. Give him the reins and see what he can do for a year.
Nelson from Jackson says, I'm good on Dak too. Shaking my head.
These folks crazy.
You call yourself a football fan, Nelson? You call yourself a football fan, Nelson? A Titans football fan, Nelson? And you good on Dak? Huh? So, let me get this right, Nelson. You would rather have an unproven player from college. We're not talking about a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback coming in this year draft. We're not talking Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. Like, we're not talking can't-miss quarterback prospects this year. We're talking Quinn Ewers, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Okay, those are your top 3. All right? You good on Dak Prescott, who has proven to be an MVP caliber quarterback multiple times, who has one of the worst surrounding rosters around him in the league? Name me a Titans quarterback that has been better than Dak outside of Steve McNair. but you good on Dak. Man, come on, man. Come on, Nelson.
It would be,
you talking crazy.
It would be different too if there's like an obvious number one pick. If there was an obvious number one pick at quarterback, then okay, like I'm with you. But crazy, who are the Titans going to get at quarterback?
Talking crazy, Nelson. Nelson, don't insult me. Nelson, don't insult me. Don't insult us, Nelson. Talking about so I'm good on Dak. And you a Titans fan. You can say that if you are the Ravens or you are the Chargers, the Chiefs. Like you can say that when you have you can say that if you are a Vikings fan because they have JJ McCartney, they feel good about they feel good about him. You can say that if you're a Patriots fan. You can't say that when you have zero quarterback. Zero. All right. Bulldog Brian brings us back down to earth. Dogs are
Georgia
hot.
Bulldog fan.
Yeah, dogs are hot. Any concerns with tomorrow night? Absolutely. Tennessee, Georgia always plays Tennessee's tough. And Georgia, they are really, really good on the offensive glass. Really good. Now, they're really good at home. How will they play on the road? It's tough, really tough to win on the road in college basketball. Extremely tough to win on the road in the SEC. But you look at Georgia right now, they're probably the one of the biggest surprises in college basketball. Last year they had glimpses, but this year they're doing a really good job. They beat Kentucky at home. They beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a good basketball team. They did lose on the road to Mississippi, but again, it's hard to win on the road in the SEC. But you look at them defensively, they're top 20 defense. Like, they top 20. Now, Tennessee's number 3 right now, but Georgia's not too far behind them.
Do the offense.
Offense, they're bad. But which is why, like, offensive rebounding is so crucial for them because they miss shots and they don't run great offense and they don't do a great job of sharing the basketball. They are hard to watch offensively, but you got to clean up. And they turn the ball over too, way too much. So they're one of the worst teams in the country at protecting the basketball, and that's perfect for Tennessee. So keep them off the offensive glass, force them to hit their average in turnovers, which is like 19, 20 per game. Turn those turnovers to points on the other side, and don't turn the ball over to them, allowing them to get points in transition. Make them play half-court offense, rebound after one shot. Tennessee should be okay. But am I concerned? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm concerned.
Yes, Tennessee can absolutely lose tomorrow night. But I do think it's a matchup that plays into Tennessee's favor because of how poor they can be at times offensively, how they turn the basketball over. They're not a great shooting team. They struggle from three in Tennessee's home building. I feel like that plays right in Tennessee's defense, which you love a matchup with Tennessee anytime that is the case. It's going to be a matter of, does Tennessee go cold on offense or not? Because like you said, Georgia does play good defense. So as long as the offense doesn't go ice cold, like we saw at Florida, Tennessee should be fine. But make no mistake about it, even if the matchup favors Tennessee, Georgia is still capable of coming in here and winning.
865-255-03. Ben, before we wrap up today, a little shorter today, Ben has his duties there at Food City Center. I got some duties today, which is going to be a busy day. I haven't even told Ben about it yet, but I'll share that with you here in a little bit, Ben. But I got some duties today, and we'll get to those. But first, Ben, Jennifer Morris, Keller Williams Realty, buy, invest, or sell real estate. This is the good time to do it, and Jennifer Morris is the right person to do it with.
Absolutely. And I was just laughing at you saying duties. That was just funny to hear you say. For all of your home duties, reach out to Jennifer Morris because she has all the contacts that you need for anything that you want to accomplish. She is obviously phenomenal at her job and will get you situated. But if there's something that you're looking for that she can't maybe take care of herself, she has a million resources and connections to help you take care of it. So she is the absolute best, very Mike Keith-esque. She is the Mike Keith of realtors in the Knoxville area. Phenomenal at her job, phenomenal person. And my family trusted her. A lot of other families in the Swain Event family trusted her. Current Tennessee athletes, former Tennessee athletes trust her, and you should too.
Real simple. Jennifer Morris, Keller Williams Realty. All right, Ben, I'll wrap us up. I'll let you get on up out of here and go cover the Vols, Ben. Appreciate you. Ben McKee, go Vols 247. 865-255-03. Hit up the text box. Is it time for Meshack to come off the bench due to how teams are sagging off of him? No, Rodney. We ain't there yet, buddy. We ain't there. Now, I do know he has a hand injury. Maybe that's affecting his shot, but it is on his balanced hand, not a shooting hand. But it still can affect your shot. I don't think. You know Meshack's the best defensive player in the country, right? He's versatile. We're not there yet, Rodney. We just got to have Zakai shoot the ball better from the perimeter. I mean, he's having one of his worst shooting starts to his career, even though he made some big-time shots versus Texas. We need Chassanier not to go cold like he did versus Florida and some versus Texas. We need other guys to step up like Gainey when we saw him do that versus Illinois. Like, we don't need to get drastic here. But I did notice, Rodney, Meshack not in late versus Texas. And I did notice that. But I don't think we're there yet. Meshack just needs to shoot the ball with more confidence, man, and start taking those shots. They're going to sag off. They're already doing it. Nelson from Jackson said, you take him in Chicago. Y'all suck too. We don't suck like the Titans. Okay, Nelson? We have a franchise quarterback that we can build around. I think Ryan Poles have done a really good job with the roster since he's been here, and we haven't changed our GM every other year or changed our coach every other year. We don't have the dysfunction the Titans have right now. So you hush. And I want the Titans to do well because they're the in-state team, but my goodness, you hush. I don't want to hear nothing from Titans fans about my Bears because y'all was talking real reckless before the season. We played y'all week 1, and you lost to our sorry selves. So hush, Nelson. I don't want to hear it at all. Can anyone explain to me how Jordan Gainey was the best defender against Trey Johnson better than Meshack? Man, that dude he had one of those days. And Tennessee's a top 5, top 3 defense. And he had a career day against us. I mean, there were several times where their guards made difficult shots. We had a hand in their face. I mean, you can't foul them. All you can do is snug them, put your hand in their face. They make it. Normally, they don't make tough shots like that, but they did that night. You can't make them all. Like, you play the percentages. Okay, you're going to make some early, but percentages say that it's going to even out. You're not going to continue to make all of them. It's kind of like when we played Arkansas and we saw some hot shooting from them early in the game. Well, they don't shoot that well. So percentages tell you that at some point they're going to start missing shots. And that's what they did. And Tennessee extended the lead. So you play the percentages, man. The Arkansas game, y'all remember? DJ Wagner came out, not the best shooter, but he came out, hit a couple threes early. He wound up with 17 points. But he didn't make all the threes. He made a few early. But he cooled out a little bit. Yeah, he came out, he made 1 3 from the corner. That was the only 3 he made. He's 20%. Shot 1 for 5. So you play the percentages on guys like that. Now, I would not do that with old boy from Florida. Old boy from Kentucky. Him and Chazanier are the best 2 shooters in the league. I hope so, man. Nelson from Jackson says, do you think we give Dubar more minutes? I hope so. I asked D-Stone, what does he need to do to get more minutes on Sunday? And, he gave the coach speak answer, which continue to make plays in practice and take advantage of his opportunities. Nothing really stood out with his comments because I would like to see him play more. Remember, he had a slow start because, he was out away from the team for personal reasons. Tennessee did a really good job of supporting him and being there for him. And he is an X factor because he can step out, he can shoot the 3. He's athletic enough that he can bang in the post, rebound. Man, he is the X factor for Tennessee for sure. So I hope he gets more minutes too, Nelson. I love watching him play. Now, Mafia is not a fan of Robert Kraft. I understand that. They did Mayo wrong. If you knew you wanted Vrabel the whole time, you should have hired him last year. He was available. So I don't appreciate how Mayo's name out here is getting drugged through the mud. But we didn't hear anything about Mayo negatively the whole time he was an assistant coach. The whole time he was a player. Now you want to justify firing coach after 1 year. We hear all this Mayo slander. What he didn't do. Like, come on, man. If you didn't think he was ready, don't put him in that position. Don't hire him. There's times when, players don't make plays or assistant coach doesn't do what they need to do. Man, I don't even point at them first. I point at the people that put him in that position. All right, you don't want this player playing because you don't think he's good enough? Well, why is he playing? He didn't put himself in the game. Oh, you don't think the assistant coach is good enough? Well, why is he out there? Why is he assisting? Because the head coach put him out there. That's how I think. So they should have never hired Mayo in the first place. I was pumped they hired him because, hey, that's a teammate. You get an opportunity to be a head coach. Awesome. But don't hire him unless you have 100% confidence in him and you're willing to support him. But they got Mike Vrabel, which is a better hire. It's hard to deny that. I won't do that. That ain't crazy. Vrabel's a good coach. Right, Nelson from Jackson? I'm sorry, that was unnecessary. Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue. Top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Thursday. We'll be back talking about the Georgia game. Tennessee, Auburn, that clash is coming. It's coming. We're days and days away from that one. So football recruiting will continue to pay attention to the portal, see what's going to happen there. Lady Vols doing their thing. Baseball, got to get my question in the bin about baseball. We'll do that on Thursday here on the Swain Event. Peace and love. Hope everyone is safe. And we'll do it again on Thursday. Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue.